Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBeadedCrochet.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a beaded bracelet. Okay, this is a pretty easy project. I would even recommend this for beginners. The stitches used are primarily going to be single crochet, chain, and slip stitch, and we're going to learn how to add beads to our work. Okay, this particular example is made using a natural polished hemp. Okay, I just wanted to show you there are a variety of materials you can use. Now, if you don't have this kind of material, you don't have to go out and purchase it. Let me show you another variety, another variation. This is a lighter colored natural hemp. I have not added my button yet to this one, but you can see there's a variety of ways. I've kind of added beads to this particular one at random, and that's what I'm going to show you today. But you can also make one of these using just one type of bead. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the beads. These are the beads that I've selected that I'm going to use. I'm going to just kind of randomly string these, and I'll show you how to do that. You're going to need approximately 70. Okay, so at least 70 beads for this. Here's some other materials you can use should you like. This is, I believe, a number 3 cotton. I'm going to show you what it looks like using this once we get started. This is a cotton acrylic yarn. That's a possibility. Or if you even have some of this in your stash. Again, it's a cotton type material, but on the thicker side for people use like for doilies and things like that. If you're going to use that, make sure that you pick some that is thicker. Okay, I'm also recommending that you have a sewing needle and some thread to sew on your button at the end, and you're going to also need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using a size G. Let me see if I can show the to you. Size G or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook, and you're also going to need a pair of sharp scissors. If you have a yarn needle for hiding loose ends, that's always a plus. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to recommend, if you're going to be using the softer materials, like I showed you, the cottons, etc., you're going to need a beading needle. This one is a curved beading needle. It doesn't have to be curved. It just so happens to be the one that I have. And let me show you what makes it a beading needle. It has a really wide eye, like this, that collapses when loading on the beads, and it makes it real easy to get the beads onto any kind of material. Now, if you're using the brown hemp that's polished, it's going to be stiff enough. You're not going to need to invest in a needle for the beads. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Oops, there is one more thing. You're going to need a button of some sort. Here's just a variety. You just need one. I may decide that I want to use this giant bead that I found in my stash instead of a button, which is an option. Or if you have another big wooden bead or something, you can use that. But just something to help hold the bracelet on. Just need one. Okay, the very first thing you're going to do is take your beading needle, open that big eye, and stick the string in there. Okay. Now we get to load on approximately 70 beads. There are a lot of different ways you can do this. I'm going to be doing this kind of randomly. Let me go ahead and put these in my hand. You have a little bowl to use. It's easy to pick them out of the bowl. And you can just, using the little needle here, just kind of pick them up. Sometimes if you just run it through, it'll just automatically pick a bead up without you even really trying, if you're having a good day, that is. Now make sure that the beads have an opening that's large enough to go over the material. Now if you have, I did actually try some smaller pearls earlier, and the hole was just not big enough to do for this project. So make sure that the hole in the beads that you choose are big enough. Most of these are what is traditionally a size 6 bead. Anything smaller than that, like those really tiny beads, are definitely not going to work. So go ahead and load your beads on until you have approximately 70 beads total. You can put a little bit more on, that won't hurt. But you need to have at least 70 to do this project the way I'm teaching it. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, now that I've got a little more than 70 beads, and they're just kind of strung at random, like I showed you, I'm going to go ahead and put away my needle. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this thread out. And I'm going to put this safely away in my little needle holder here so that when I need it next time, I will have that available. Okay, now it's time for us to get our size G crochet hook. Okay, we're going to start off making a slip knot. Make sure you pull it nice and tight. Now this part, make sure what you're going to have to do is we're going to have to push these beads down this string a little bit because we're not going to need them right away. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is crochet 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each stitch across. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now it's okay if it's a little bit big here. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1. That brings us to round 2, and we are going to make a buttonhole on this round, and we're going to do it the following way. We're going to single crochet. We're going under both of the loops there. Okay, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the first 2 stitches. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to single crochet in the last 2 stitches. 1, 2. Okay, so now we have a buttonhole. I'm going to chain 1, turn, and we're going to do some more single crochet. Single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Now in this chain 3 space, we're going to work 3 single crochets. Just go right into the hole here. Don't have to put it in individual chains or anything. So we have 3 single crochets worked in that chain space, or in the buttonhole space. And then single crochet in the last 2 stitches. Okay, chain 1. Now I'm going to have to push my beads back further, so just keep doing that as you crochet along. I'm going to turn, and we're going to single crochet in 1 single crochet in each stitch across, and of course there are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I need to continually push my beads back. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. Okay, now we're ready to work the beaded part. Okay, we're ready to work the long chains that go back and forth. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to bring some of these beads forward so that they're a little bit closer to us. And then we're going to slide 1 bead down, and then we chain again. So that bead is chained in. Chain again without a bead, and then slide a bead down, and then do another chain. Okay, another chain without a bead, and then chain again. Another chain without a bead, and then one with slide it down and chain. Okay, so we're going to do this until we have approximately 20 beads on our chain. Okay, and we should have a total of 42 chains total. Okay, So let's go ahead and I'll see what we've got so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beads. It's time for me to do a regular chain and then slide another one down. So we're going to do this until we can count 20 beads, and then once you can count 20 beads, then you chain one more time, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, after completing that 42 chain, okay, this is what I have. Now I'm going to be careful not to twist the chain, okay, and I'm going to come back here to this second single crochet, and I'm going to work a slip stitch right there. That's going to connect it in to this bracelet. Then I'm going to work another slip stitch right next to that. Okay. After slip stitching it to that next stitch, I'm going to do another chain of 42. I'm going to chain one. I'm going to bring some more beads down so they're easy to slide on. Slide a bead, chain, chain again, slide a bead, chain, chain again, slide on another bead, chain, chain again, slide on another bead, chain, and then another chain. So do this again until you have a total of 20 beads and 42 chains. That would be the extra 2 chains, or the one before you start the bead and then one afterwards. Okay, so go ahead and finish that. Being careful again not to twist the chain. Go ahead and work a slip stitch. If I can find my yarn here. Slip stitch in that next single crochet and in the next one as well. And we're going to do it again. Chain one and slip a bead on, chain, chain one. Go ahead and do another 42 chain. You should use up 20 beads. After working that last 42 chain with 20 beads, go ahead and I'm going to slip stitch this one in to the next stitch and slip stitch into that last single crochet. Now this is where it's a little bit different. We are going to crochet 10 beads in to this last chain, so that's going to be a total of 22 chains. So chain one and slide a bead down and chain, and then chain again. So go ahead and do this until you have 10 beads on your chain. Okay, after you've completed that, if you're holding it with the buttonhole up like this, it should look something like this. Okay, kind of almost looks like a little jellyfish with beads, but okay, so now we're going to make the other side of the bracelet that is going to be the place where you attach the button. Okay, so you want to make sure that the beads are facing the same direction. Okay, you can hold this, actually hold it kind of carefully like this. It's easy to see that the buttons are facing the right way. Okay, so I'm going to have you add 2 more chains to the hook, to that last piece that you're working on. And let me explain why. Okay, each of these chains is going to become a stitch on the next row. Okay, so now that you're holding this up like so, I'm going to have you just run the hook in to that chain like that, and at the midway point, and go ahead and give it a single crochet. Go ahead and chain one, and then now we're going to connect the next one at the midpoint, which is about here, and give it a single crochet. Now this is a little tricky. You're kind of like crocheting in the air. As you're crocheting this along, make sure that you hold this last chain off to the side so that you don't lose where you are. It's really easy to lose your spot here. So we have that first single crochet in that first single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet in this chain space, and then we're going to single crochet in the next single crochet, and then in a chain one space, and we're going to single crochet the next single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet in the chain space. Let's count our chains. We're going to have to make one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to do one more in the chain right here. That was that extra chain we worked. Okay, so this is what you should have at this point. Now we're going to chain one and turn, and the rest is fairly easy. We are just going to single crochet in each chain across. And this is forming the fabric that is going to hold our button or the bead or whatever you're going to use to hold this closed. And I'm going to make several rows. I'm going to go ahead and do approximately 6 rows. Now, if you find that the bracelet, you can actually test it to see how it fits around your arm. And if it's too small, you can add a couple more rows to make it a little bit longer at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another one. I'm officially on 1, 2, 3. This is row 4. Whoops. Let's try that stitch again. So I'm going to go ahead and I do a couple more rows. I am just adding 7 single crochets per row, and then I chain one, and then I turn at the end of the row and begin the next one. So go ahead and do this until you have about 6 rows. Since my wrist is a little bit on the large side, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 extra row. So I'm going to have a total of 7 rows. Now if you're making one of these for a child, you're not going to need to put on this extra row. In fact, you might only want to do 4 or 5 rows. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm going to pull it tight, give it a chain, and get my scissors, give it a nice long thread so that we can hide it. Go ahead and pull it on through. That should be very tight. I'm going to go ahead and try to weave this in. Now if I can't, if you find that a yarn needle is too thick, you can certainly use a metal darning needle. That will do the trick and might actually flow through the back of the threads more readily. Well, first of all, now I'm going to determine which is the front and which is the back by the way the beads are popping. So this is the front. So I'm going to try to hide this loose thread on this side, which is going to be the back. Try to run it under some of these loose threads. I get to see if this needle is too big to go through this or not. Well, I was able to get it through. That's good. And give it a little tug. So that should be pretty secure. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little trim, make sure I don't cut my stitches. Now, the next thing I need to do, that's looking pretty nice. Next thing I need to do is sew on my button or my bead. I'm going to go ahead and try using this bead to secure it. So I'll go ahead and get my needle and my thread. Okay, now that I've got my bead and my thread all ready, I'm going to start by attaching this thread on the back side so nobody can see, and I'm using the same color thread so that it kind of blends in so it doesn't draw attention to itself. And I'm going to come through the front, and hopefully my needle will be able to go through this bead. Yay, it does. Okay, you never know when you're using a bead instead of a button whether this is going to actually work out. And then I'm going to just run this around and around a couple times to secure it. And And I should have this done in just a second. Let's see. I'll go ahead and secure this and then I'll show you what I have. Okay, I've finished securing this bead and now I'm just going to secure my knot in the back. I'm going to double knot this a couple times, slip knots, and run it underneath some of my stitches and then give it a clip really close but not upon the work, like that. I'm going to go ahead and trim this little knot thread as well. Okay, and I think I am, whoop, no, I am not done. I have one more thread to hide. Let me go ahead and show you how to hide this thread one more time. We thread our yarn needle. I'm just going to run this underneath the single crochet loops. The more the merrier as far as these cotton threads, because they can slip out. And if you're using yarn that's a little slippery, that has some acrylic in it, it might even be worse. So just make sure that you run it under enough of these stitches so that it does not come back out again. Okay, I like the way that looks. I'm going to go ahead and give it a very careful clip. Give it a tug, and it's hidden hopefully forever. And so now this is our crocheted beaded bracelet. Thanks for watching. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe. Just hit that little red button and you won't miss any of the new videos that I have coming each week. God bless. Bye-bye.